This is Warface. We're on Xbox Series X. The game is not optimized, so we're kind of just inheriting the Xbox One X enhancement, which gives us a 4K resolution with HDR support. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. So this is a free-to-play shooter with a focus on, kind of cooperative team working elements as you, oh, I should actually go and revive this, no, never mind, as you go around kind of interacting with the environment together in order to accomplish certain things, such as doing like a co-op climb. And it's actually got quite a lot of content to it. So we're just doing some of the PvP. This is domination. It was supposed to get crossplay, but I'm assuming with the whole COVID situation that went on this year that got delayed or something. We'll have to see if that comes later on in the future, because I know it's available on quite a few different platforms. So anyways, yeah, it's a shooter, quite obviously, and there's different classes you can play as. I'm the medic class for now. And there's different modes. Oh geez, really? Didn't even see that coming. But yeah, there's different modes and different styles of play in regards to what you're doing. So I like to play usually like I don't know what you would call it, Storm or something like that. But it doesn't seem to have really players that I can jump into. Even for Domination here, I had to basically expand my search to like a global type thing in order to find some people, which, it's fine. It's not the biggest deal in the world. But yeah, it seems like the player base isn't as readily available. But the Storm mode's really cool because it's like objective pushing and stuff. I just find that one to be quite entertaining. But I just wasn't able to jump in, or I don't know. Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, aside from, straight PvP action, there's also lots of like cooperative modes. So you can like do some missions together, and there's like a spec ops thing where you work together. And yeah, it's actually a pretty well-rounded package, surprisingly enough. Like the co-op modes are actually kind of engaging in terms of what you're doing battling wise. Being a free-to-play, there are certain elements to that present in regards to how you're kind of renting weapons and stuff like that, and they do lots of different packs. And yeah, it's interesting. It actually looks way better. I mean, I did check this out, or the enhancement version of it, a while back, because my main review of the game was actually quite popular on the channel, which was great. So I'm like, hey, we'll give it a whirl on the Series X to kind of show it off there, so you can see it again in action and kind of get an idea of the game. Because you might be looking at it, to jump into the game for the first time too on the new platforms. Completely up to you. There's definitely still a lot of people playing. I'm assuming Team Deathmatch is quite popular. I think the Battle Royale mode was a little kind of lame, I suppose you could say. I wasn't too thrilled by the Battle Royale effort on this one, but it was kind of a cool thing, just to have that available, even though it's just like, yeah, it was weird. I don't know if they've redone it since, but yeah, I wasn't huge into that. But I think the deathmatch mode is probably, the popular one. That seems to always be the case when you get to these older shooter games. But still, yeah, it's kind of a neat case, this one. I do find this game to be kind of fascinating, because you had, this game was like the 360, and it kind of like, it had vanished, and it was on, PC, and then it came back to consoles, and I think I played it last on the Switch, actually. Wasn't great there. Even the version that landed on I think the Xbox One maybe, wasn't necessarily super fascinating either, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know, just an easygoing, fun, free-to-play shooter. I think it kind of hits the mark in regards to like the content, the style of play. It's just kind of, it's definitely a bit of an aged shooter, the big hit marker, which apparently you can adjust, but it's nothing too insane or fancy, but it gets the job done. And again, it's like no cost to jump into it and see it, and it looks really good with the enhancement that we're carrying forward on the Series X here. I mean, it's pretty clean cut. The visuals kind of pop a little bit more. It's just a much better looking sort of game, which is nice. And it just has a lot of different modes, like I was saying. You come in here, you do the PvP, but if you're someone that's like a PvE type player, where you want to work together cooperatively, it's got options for you as well to play with like your friends or others randomly online. I think that's a good option for gameplay, right? Is to have that element of choice within the matches in the game in general. Really, I didn't finish that guy off. That's not good. kind of slow moving around here, but yeah, you know, it's got some neat gameplay styles to it. Again, I like the element of moving through the environment sort of together, you know, kind of helping one another at certain spots to get to different points. And there's a good selection of like maps. They seem to add a lot of content too, which is great. It's definitely like a supported game. I want to make that very clear that they do add content and stuff all the time. And they did have a whole kind of timeline map of things they were going to be adding and stuff. And I'm not sure if they hit all the marks on those ones. Again, likely due to just how the situation is globally. But I gotta hand it to them, you know, they've actually done a pretty good job of supporting this one with content and changes and improvements. And they also did a really interesting spin-off. They did a game called Warface Breakout. Now, I don't think the titling really was a great idea because it kind of makes it sound like it's a, you know, a sort of like mode in this game, which would confuse a lot of people, where it's actually its own thing. Okay, we won. I guess we'll jump into another match. Great, so we got into another match here. This is just straight up deathmatch. It was like instant to find a lobby. But yeah, I was talking about Breakout, which is their kind of spin-off. So that really plays kind of like Counter-Strike, which is really interesting. And they did a really good job with it. It's got like a sort of futuristic vibe, I guess you could say, to that Counter-Strike formula, which is kind of fascinating. And again, I thought it was really quite well done. I played a lot of that one, sort of working on the achievements. I might actually have to revisit it on the Series X because that could be fun. I was getting blasted from the side. Yeah, it was just a very interesting, sort of well-balanced title. It had a lot of different sort of competitive maps you could play on, a lot of different options, competitive and like ranked and stuff, which is cool. And I really did like that one. It was really sleek and neat. It was basically like a faster, smoother version of Warface, which is kind of funny because this one, you know, it definitely shows its age and when it was made, but still pretty decent effort. How did you not die? How many bullets did you take? Anyways, a little bit spongy, that guy. Like I was saying, that game in general is kind of a neat option if you're looking for something, you know, like Counter-Strike vein on consoles. It was smooth. It was pretty well done. I think they did a lot of update support for that one too. That's one thing I gotta, come on guys, I gotta give the company again is props for their support in regards to keeping this stuff updated and actually getting content. And I did also look it up. They were saying Q2 of this year they were supposed to have a cross-play update, so I don't know if that actually dropped. I didn't really find anything online about it. So again, it could have just been delayed. But yeah, this is just kind of a different option in regards to the combat here. I kind of want to switch over to the medic again, but I'm liking having the, you know, the assault rifle. It's just sort of again, a competitive multiplayer game, PvP, and then the PvE if you want to jump into it. But it's just easier to show off this particular mode because, you know, you do checkpoints and everything. I don't want to get roped into some long cooperative based situation on there. It's kind of, wow, I really should have been a medic. It's just really neat to see this game, you know, continue to get you know, people playing it, and continue to see it being supported. Because again, you know, it's free to play entirely. You just jump in and have a good time with it if you want, and see if it's your sort of shooter. And I do think that the enhancement really did a lot for... Whoa, a claymore! Damn, that was an unexpected pop. I really do think that the enhancement helped a lot with the visual fidelity and the look of the game in general. It's just it's neat, you know. It's got a lot of interesting ideas from its time, and I think it's also cool. The whole arrows and things like that kind of feels so throwbackish to me. But it also just lets you know you can traverse through this part of the environment, right? Oh, I guess he did not want to get brought back alive. Maybe being a medic is not going to be the best option. But yeah, the maps are also interesting. Like, they're very, like this one in particular is very tight and forced. I don't really love all of the map designs, but you know, they do offer a lot of variety in regards to the gameplay and the mechanics. It just, yeah, there's a lot of like really weird, straightforward linear pathing. You don't get a whole lot of freedom for movement. And that kind of drives me crazy in some shooters, is that you don't find extra lanes. You get really funneled. But I mean, that's totally up to your playstyle too, and what you like when you're, you know, going into shooters. Oh, geez. Okay, come on, there we go. This might be slight lag based on who I ended up playing with, but Oh, we'll get a nice slide in there. Yeah, it still has its moments. It's still fun. You know, fun enough. And I think, you know, if you don't have the option to jump into any shooters, this is a good one at that, you know. Might be your, could actually be some people's first shooter, I guess, because it doesn't have any entry cost to jump into it, which is a nice option, because most shooters do run into that whole premium realm, at least on the console space, from what I've noticed. If somebody dead, I could save their life. That guy's dead too, I could save your life. Or get shot in the back by that cool looking guy with the neat tech look. So I switched classes again, so that we could show off a different one, because you know you get the different classes from up here. I don't know if you saw that, but oh, class changing's not allowed because I'm changing into a class. But yeah, you can see the different options up there, which is kind of fun. And they did some like weird stuff with the co-op in that. I think there's like a whole Mars thing or something like that. And it's interesting how they just you know, mix up the gameplay styles. And I'm generally just kind of impressed by how this game, you know, kind of, while it is having certain mechanics that are showing its age, it still, like, visually comes across as decently done and detailed, and, you know, in regards to the environments. Because usually, like, the free-to-play efforts don't really quite look as good. But some of them, you know, they get the long-term care and support and end up being quite impressive. I think about, do I want to knife people? Got the armor. Anybody need armor? I got shot in the back. So I was trying to do was trying to throw a claymore back there, but oh well. Oh, looks like I spawned up on the roof. That's cool. Neat little different perspectives and areas you can go to for battling, which is nice. But yeah, it's just very, very straightforward. And that's why I don't like death matches in games, is because it's just kind of like mindless back and forth shooting. I usually have like having some sort of drive where people are actually pushing towards like an objective or something. Just way more in line with the type of experience I like. Oh, I am just not noticing any of these claymores at all. They are totally just exploding and blowing me up. But yeah, it's cool. This has seen so many different like platforms that this has continued to survive over the years. Because it really isn't one that you sit there and you're like, oh, that Warface game, that's a long-term venture. But yeah, it's really kind of come along and delivered so many experiences and different amounts of content and maps. It's interesting, fascinating from that perspective. Oh, you camper, always camping around that corner. That grenade could have been bad. That, am I just not seeing these claymores? The claymores definitely keep seeing me, that's for sure. They keep taking me to town in regards to the explosions. Not the friendliest of tools to fight against. Like I even am like constantly trying to like set up my claymore. Just get blown up before I can even really get to that point, which is interesting. Yeah, it's also got a neat sense of like damage in regards to like how the bullets and stuff do. Like it really can get shredded apart pretty quickly, which is interesting. But other times, you know, you can take a little bit more. It's a neat system, again, from an earlier time in terms of the design, but still today, like I'm actually, you know, I'm not shocked that there's lots of people playing, but it is nice to see them, and just kind of surprised that it's still going so well. And I think once it gets the crossplay, which I might be mistaken, it might have the crossplay already, but I didn't see anything about it when I was doing my research. You know, I think that's a good way to really help the community kind of grow and keep on steady here. Yeah, I guess the claymore really does kind of just comfortably sit there. That's interesting. But yeah, if you can play Storm, I highly suggest that mode too, because it's just kind of fun, you know. Yeah, fighting through the different objective tiers. It just kind of, it's a neat setup, and it's very strict in how players move through the environments, but it gives you a good amount of freedom within the spaces too, which I think is kind of nice. But yeah, you know, I got a little bit more, I guess you could say, respect for the game now that I'm seeing it, you know, enhanced on here, playing smoothly, that people are still jumping into it. I definitely gotta hand it to them. They created something with a little bit of longevity. Did he honestly close that garage door on me? It kind of hurts my feelings because I wanted to shoot him. The weirdest little interactivity elements of the game too. Just, yeah, I find that kind of humorous when you get like a claymore right there. See if anybody runs into that. He's in a pretty good spot. But yeah, I guess also spawn-wise, you know, it's kind of, it has its moments where it's not the best for your spawning. But I think players are usually able to adapt pretty quickly in that regard. Ooh, getting quite a few kills there. That's good. I'm actually surprised this match hasn't ended yet. Oh, we're about 30 seconds away. I guess we'll just close out on this one, and then we'll call it on showcasing what Warface has to offer. I guess I could have shown more maps and maybe the cooperative, but I don't know. I think this kind of gets off the gist of what the game is about. Just kind of apply this, but to the smaller group of players, kind of, you know, battling along certain objectives. It does have a bit of a challenge edge too, and you earn certain things going through that mode. And yeah, it's just kind of a neat package, a free-to-play experience that you can just hop into and have a decently good time with. Oh, looks like that's the end of it. Ooh, I thought I was more positive, but I did have quite a bit of deaths, I guess.